This is very odd for me because usually we wouldn't be here by ourselves, by myself. I would not be here by myself because obviously Ksan is usually here with me. But I've been needing to sit down by myself for a minute. It is like 12:43 right now because I've been procrastinating. I cleaned up the studio. I moved things around. I had a chat on the phone for a bit. Like, I've been needing to sit here by myself, and I just haven't not wanted to. I've wanted to. It's just uncomfortable, for one. For two, it's like, are you really going to want to listen to my voice for a long period, just alone, just chilling? I didn't know. How would I know? How would they know? I wouldn't know. I knew that I've been needing to sit down by myself here and just chat for a bit, but doing it's just different. Being in front of the camera alone is hard. And the reason why like it has happened now is because I was listening to All the People podcast. I think her name is Janell Roberts. I think that's how you say her name properly. Yeah, I was listening to her podcast. The podcast is definitely called To All the People. Great. I had seen her come up on my TikTok, and then I just went on to Spotify and I just binged like the content, which you shouldn't do because that's like maybe 3 or 4 hours, like just back to back, because I just like her voice. But like her presence is just so lovely. But in one of the episodes, she talked about like, what would you do? I'm not sure what episode. I can find out, but I'm not sure what episode. But she talked about, what would you do if you didn't have to make money? So like, what is the thing that you would do if you didn't have to make money? Like, if money wasn't a thing, what would you do? And for her, it was writing. So she's also an author, which is like great, fantastic. But that's what she would do. Like, she would sit and she would write, right? And I was like listening, and I'm like, what would I actually do? And I would talk. I would actually talk. Like, me talking is like therapy for me. I talk all the time. I talk to people whenever I can. I talk to my family. I talk to my friends. Like, that is my thing. I also like being alone, but I'll talk to myself. Like, I'll sit and I'll have a chat with myself. Like, that is like my favorite thing to do. Not in the way where it's just like me chatting shit, but having good conversation. Like, my favorite thing to do at the end of the day is journal. That's literally me talking to myself, reflecting on my own day. Like, that's my ish. Like, I would do that all day, every day, until the wheels fall off. And I love it. I love talking to people, getting to know people, understanding their journeys, like who they are, why they got there, how they got there. Like, I went to university for sociology. It's literally understanding people and why society made us the way that we are and how we got here. And half of my days were literally me debating with other people on why they are the way that they are, or how we got to this place in society. Like, it can be jarring at times, of course, because you don't like everybody's opinions, but that was literally my ish. Like, I love that stuff. I have been chatting before I can even remember chatting. And not just chatting for the sake of it. Like, that was my thing to do. I remember being like in primary school, and I think one of the first things, other than like my hair and stuff like that, but one of the first things that made me realize that it was a thing that black women are loud, or a stereotype that black women are loud, and that we come across aggressive, or that they think we come across aggressive, or it's a thing for us to just be talking. It was literally in primary school, and people used to talk about my hair a lot because I have big hair. Obviously, you can't see it now, but I have like huge hair, and I've always had huge hair. But teachers would talk about that in school, But that wouldn't really faze me because I was like, okay, like I have hair, like I don't know what you want me to do about it. But I remember the very first like inclinations of being like, okay, cool, maybe it's not okay for me to talk, or people take the way I talk wrong, like they take it the wrong way. They feel some type of way about how I talk and how I come across to them through my words. Whereas me sitting in classes, and for some reason I'm always the one that gets picked on. Oh, Zara's talking in class, Zara's loud, she has conversation, she's always laughing. I'm happy, but like what would you want me to do? Like literally, I would come to parents' evening. I remember this went from primary school all the way through secondary school. My parents would come to parents' evening and they would be like, Zara gets all her work done, you know, everything is done. She does really well in class, but she just really talks a lot. Like she talks a lot. Everybody else was talking. It's not a one-way conversation that I'm having in class. Like people are talking with me or talking to me, but yeah, I'm the one getting in trouble. Nobody else would ever get in trouble. And of course, I was a black girl in the class. Of course, I may have been the loudest in the class. These things I get, right? But it wasn't just me. And it made me feel some type of way about how my words came out, how I was conversating, how I was talking. And I'm not with that. Like, I would get into like confrontations with teachers because they didn't like the way that I spoke to them. It wasn't that deep. Believe me, I'm a very polite young lady. Like, it wasn't my tone of voice that they would get annoyed at. It was literally like that I would rebuttal them with sense, and they were upset about it. That's not my fault, babe. That's just really not my fault. But yeah, it's a thing that, you know, and then obviously you get into secondary school and it's the whole, oh, she's being aggressive, or she's being loud, or like all of this stuff as a black girl that you just can't express yourself or be who you are because you're talking of how you talk. It's a thing for me. I don't like it at all. Our opinions are not to be silenced. Our opinions are not to be told. Our opinions should not get taken any lighter simply because we seem louder or we seem aggressive. We're not. We have passion. Yes, a lot of people do. But simply because because I'm black, it's a thing that because of the tone of my voice or because of how I'm saying it, I'm not saying it. I don't understand that. I just don't get it. So yeah, it has taken a lot for me to get comfortable again with my voice. And it wasn't just a teacher thing, like it was a friend's thing as well. Friends don't realize that they're doing it. Some of them really do realize that they're doing it, but girls don't realize that they're doing it. And they're like, oh, you're too loud. She laughs so loud. Her laugh is so loud. I'm happy, babe. Like, let me be happy. Like, and now it's a thing where like, if I'm walking down the street and I'm with a friend and we're laughing and people are staring, that's not my business. And you know, you seem such a big difference because sometimes we'll walk past people. I'll be with a friend and we'll be walking down the road and one person will walk past us, and because we're laughing, they'll laugh. Like, they'll smile, they'll laugh. And we'll walk past another person and they will look at us like we've genuinely ruined their entire day. Like, we have told them that their mum has passed away or got hit by a bus. And it's like, are you mad? Like, what are you upset about? The street is free. Like, I didn't disrupt you. You are angry that I'm happy, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with that. Before it would be like, it would make me feel uncomfortable, but now I'm okay with that. But yeah, it's taken me a bit to learn to love my voice, to learn to be okay with my opinions, to learn to be confident in how I feel, in the words that come out of my mouth, in the perspective that I have, like the perspective that I have, not just as a woman, but as a black woman, but as a human in general. Like, to know that just because someone has a stereotype of me or how I may talk simply because I'm black doesn't mean I'm any less valid for the words that come out of my mouth. Like, that's just not what we're gonna do. So yeah, when I started this podcast, it was a thing for me to have someone with me. Like, it was a thing. Like, I was not going to do it if I couldn't sit down with someone. And of course that should never be an issue. Like, it should just never have been, but I just wasn't there. I wasn't okay with doing that. I wasn't comfortable to do that, but I knew at some point I would have to. So this year I said to myself, like, I have to do it. Like, I'm going to do it. Like, we have the space now. I don't have to go and be around other people. Like, it can just literally be me, the mic and the camera. I don't know if this is going to come out visually, just because I might watch it and hate it. But it's definitely going to go. Like, it has to just come out. I have to be okay with my voice being heard. Like, if I'm okay with my voice being heard if I'm okay with my voice being heard with somebody else's, then why am I not okay with my voice being heard alone? Like, it's ridiculous. So that's the thing. And so, yeah, the podcast episode, she was talking about the thing that you would do if you didn't have to make money, if you didn't need money. And she followed that with, that's your purpose. So the thing that you would do if you didn't have to make money is your purpose, right? And I just found that really interesting, because finding your purpose or living in your purpose in your 20s or at 20 in your 20s, I think is the hardest thing to do. Not simply because you don't know it. Some people know exactly what their purpose was. Like, I've always liked to talk. I knew that I would be doing something where I can conversate and talk to people and understand them. I just knew I would be doing that. And I've always been drawn in that direction, but I just didn't know how. I didn't know in what way. I didn't know in what career, in what form, in how that would manifest. But I knew I loved to talk. It's always been my comfort thing. It's always been the thing that I end up doing, right? But actually living in that in your 20s is hard. Living in that in your early 20s is hard because, like I said, you grow up with all the people, or sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get pushed in the exact direction that you're supposed to be in, and then you still run from it. But sometimes you get told all the things not to do when you know that's what you want to do. Like me being told that I don't have an opinion, to be seen and not heard, to you're an angry black woman, to she's always talking in class, to her tone of voice, to she's laughing too loud. Like, all of these things should have never stopped the purpose, because it's going to be your purpose regardless. But it prepares you. Like, it prepares you for the thing, right? Now that I'm talking, no one can stop me talking. Like, literally, I could go back and forth with anyone, simply because I've been told not to go back and forth so many times. I have learned when to talk and not talk, simply because I've spent a lot of time not talking as a result. I know how to have better conversations, because when you're not talking, you learn to listen. So it builds you. It makes you stronger in your purpose. Or for me, it's made the purpose even stronger, even better. Like, for me to be able to go out and do it. But I think living in your purpose is so hard in your 20s, because we're so caught up on what other people think and how other people will perceive us and how other people see us, that we know in our hearts that there's this thing that we're supposed to be doing, but it's so much of outside influence that we won't actually do it. And it's like, why not? Everybody older than us literally tells us to experiment now, and we're going, yeah, but people told me not to be different. Yeah, but I have to stay in the trends. Yeah, but what if I'm too different? Like, if we're not experimenting now, if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? Like, when are we going to do it? Because life is going to come soon. Like, if for some people life hasn't come yet, and for some people, you're already in it. So it's like, psh, I have things to lose. Like, some people don't, if we're not going to do it now, when are we going to do it? If we're not going to do it in our early 20s, if we're not going to do it in our 20s, when are we going to do it? When are we going to find ourselves? When are we going to learn all the things that we hate by trial and experiment? Like, we have to try it. We have to experience it. We have to try to do it. We have to fail a couple of times in order to get the thing where it's like, no, that thing, that's my purpose. That thing, that's the thing that I love the most. That thing, that's where I want to be. And unless we try all the things that we think in our minds is the best thing for us, we're not going to know which one actually is the best thing for us. And it's going to get us into a place where we don't want to be, as Generation Z, as millennials, we don't want to be in a corporate job that we hate, doing 9 to 5, waking up, going to somewhere that you don't want to be every single day, simply because society told you this is what you must do, this is where you must go, this is where you must be, for like our entire lives. Like, so we don't, like, that's not what we want. We are saying that there's a problem. Like, the millennials have been saying there's a problem for a bit. Like, they've been saying there's a problem, and we should be able to reap the rewards of that. Like, we should be able to say, okay, cool, if they know that there's a problem, how do we fix it? We live the life that they never got to. We allow ourselves to experiment and maybe not go to university and maybe fail at some stuff. And I'm not saying don't go to university. That's not what I'm saying. But do all of the things that we want to. And if we fall flat on our face, we fall flat on our face. But at least we know what's not for us. And that's in everything. Like, when it comes to dating, how do you know what you like if you don't know what you don't like? You have to start meeting people. You have to start talking to people to figure, okay, cool, I don't like that. With friends, you have to make friends first to be like, don't like that personality, that person, yeah, not for me. Like, how do we do that with everything else, but we don't want to do it with, like, our purpose? We don't want to do it with our purpose. It's so hard for us to step outside of the box. It's so hard for us to try new things. And I guess when there's so many options as well, I don't think our generation or the generation above us, our parents, because not the generation above us, our parents kind of understand that when you're given so much choice, you can also be paralyzed. When there's so much to do, so many different ways now to do things in this world, it's like, okay, which one do I pick? All of them. Do all of them. Try everything. Like, try everything. They might not all work out, and that's okay. Like, if you don't fail, you won't succeed. Like, we have to do it. We just have to do it. And this is not just a word for you all. This is me talking to myself, and this is what I mean. Like, this is me having this conversation with myself. There's just happens to be a mic in front of me. Like, this is the conversations that I have with myself anyway. This is how we got here. Like, this is what got me sitting on this couch. I had to come to terms with that. Yeah, I had to come to terms with, if I want to get anywhere and if I want to bring the podcast to the place where I know I want it to get to, then I need to sit down on this couch alone. I need to sit down here by myself. Like, I knew it, and I had been talking about it, and you don't have to be a spiritual person, but I am. And I was having dreams of, like, you need to be talking. I need to be talking. I knew, like, I needed to be talking. I needed to be talking. You need to sit down. You need to, like, you need to start doing solo episodes. You need to start doing solo episodes. You just need to start therapizing yourself through the mic, which I would do anyway. Just not on the mic. Like I said, I would talk to myself anyway, just not on the mic. And I know I needed to do that. So this is me talking to myself. You just get to hear it. You just get to hear it. So that is my aim. That is my aim. Creating the space mentally and physically to explore my purpose, explore my creativity, and it might change. My purpose might be chatting alone now. It might be different then, like in 6 months from now. Yeah, it might be in this form right now. Me talking on the podcast might be from now, but I have to create the space to explore that, because this will get me ready for that next thing. And I've known that I needed to do this. I know that I needed to do this. So we're doing it. Yeah. My conclusion, to conclude, to end, to finalize, to finish, we need to stop. Like, we as a collective in our 20s, in our early 20s, going into our 20s, whenever, whoever, whatever, we need to stop allowing other people's opinions of ourselves to taint us, from society's opinions of us to taint us, from stereotypical opinions of us to taint us. Like, yes, I am a black woman, I am opinionated, but that does not mean that I am aggressive. It does not mean that I'm loud or too loud. It does not mean that the words that come out of my mouth are any less valid than anybody else. And I have a right to sit down and explore that within myself. So, yeah. Thank you. This is going to be the first of many. I hope. I want one solo episode a week. Yeah, I want one solo episode a week. So you'll get a guest episode, which will probably be me and Kasana, me and somebody else. You'll get a guest episode, you will get a solo episode with me, and then something else. But that's for only if you're on Instagram. So if you're not following us on Instagram, what are you doing? Like, what are you really doing? We're really trying to build a community for the next in the next 6 months. Like, I'm going to push myself to be making sure that there isn't these 3 things done every single week, because we stopped for an entire year and so much happened behind the scenes. It needs to happen in front of the scenes now. And even if I look a mess, even if my hair's not done like now, I'm gonna be here. So I'm gonna make sure I'm here. Yeah, I need to start showing up for myself. So we're showing up for ourselves this year. We're showing up for ourselves this year. It has been so lovely. I didn't think it would be this well. I didn't think it would go this well. Honestly, I thought I would be stuttering every 5 seconds, but I'm proud of myself. I did it. We had a chat. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being here. I hope you got something out of it. I would love to chat with you all. Yeah, so follow us everywhere. You've been listening to the Panic Room podcast. I am your host, Zara. And I will see you on Tuesday.